Well, they were very impressive the entire second half.
Yeah, well, that was a great game. I mean, we both played lights out tonight.
Right now at 11, a Tobacco Road thriller.
The Blue Devils celebrating a big home win, and the back and forth came down to missed free throws for the Tar Heels. Good evening, I'm Sean Maroney.
And I'm Sharon Tazwell. Thanks for joining us. Right now, the Cameron Crazies celebrating like they normally do big wins by burning fires on the quad. This is a live look from the quad right now.
The final score, 86-78. This game back and forth until the very end. We have team coverage from Durham and Chapel Hill, but we start here in the studios with our Jeff Jones. And Jeff, this certainly lived up to the hype.
Oh, yes, it did. Wow. Just wow. That's all I can say after this game. Guys, there were 13 lead changes in the first half alone. Let's go ahead and show you some highlights from the Tobacco Road Showdown. The fans at Duke were excited as always, and for good reason. Grayson Allen was on fire from deep. He ended the first half with that buzzer beater. In the second, as you can see, the Tar Heels kept it close, but they just couldn't ever close the gap. Duke went on to win this one 86-78. We have crews all over town to get highlights from the fan reaction. Plus, we have extended highlights, and we'll hear from the coaches and players coming up later in the show in sports.
All right, Jeff, I look forward to that. And the celebration's happening right now on Duke's campus.
CBS North Carolina's AJ Janeville spending a lot of time with those fans today. He joins us live outside of Cameron Indoor. AJ?
Hey, Sean. Hey, Sharon. I could hear in Jeff's highlights just the sound from the crowd, booming sound. You would never expect that those people were in here because now it is a ghost town. There is no one out here as Patrick is panning around the campus. You can see what are the remnants of K-ville, where the students were out for weeks just hoping to get into this game. And I checked my phone a little while ago. It says it's freezing right here in Durham. They are happy that they don't have to sleep out there one more night. After more than a month of living outside in a tent in K-ville, students were finally let into Cameron Indoor Stadium.
The moment when everyone starts jumping together and screaming, indescribable feeling, makes it so worth it every night that it's cold and freezing.
Inside the court, it was a tight squeeze for students, literally standing room only, so much so they had to stand sideways to fit everyone in. Perfect way to make new friends.
We're different tents. This is where the two tents separate right now.
Dave Gay and Melanie Park were in separate tents and just met a few minutes before the game. But some people weren't as social and needed a little help from us to get to know each other.
Have you guys ever said anything to each other other than hi?
No, hi, nice to meet you.
Blaine Cox and Mara Smiles tell me best friends, tent buddies, or complete strangers. Everyone is family on this side of the court in Cameron.
I feel a sense of community in here, like we are all the Cameron Crazies, so I don't know, it doesn't matter
if we don't know each other.
Yeah.
We're all Duke Blue Devils.
They tell me win or lose, it's all about the experience, but they also really want Duke to win. And they got their wish. Duke won tonight. You guys are taking a live look at the celebrations across the university. I was there a little while ago. Basically, as soon as that game ended, they took off sprinting to go celebrate. And I kind of wish that I was over there where there's a giant fire as opposed to over here where I can see the only smoke is coming out of my mouth when I breathe. Now, even though they're celebrating, now it's going to be less than a month before these two teams meet again. Reporting live here at Duke University, I'm AJ Janeville for CBS North Carolina.
K-ville, a ghost town right now.
That's true. They're definitely celebrating tonight, though. It's wonderful. A very different story, though, 8 miles down Tobacco Road.
That's where we find CBS North Carolina's Kelly Kennedy on Franklin Street. Franklin Street also a ghost town, huh, Kelly?
Yeah, the mood has completely shifted here. Lots of broken-hearted Tar Heel fans out here tonight. Just a little while ago, we saw a mass exodus of college students leaving the bars down Franklin Street tonight. A lot of emotions here, a lot of people really angry, shouting things in the street. We also saw some tears, actually. I saw one girl hysterically crying in the street. We spoke with some fans, and they say, although it was a close game, it was pretty difficult to watch towards the end.
Pretty awful. Just really no other way to describe it.
Pretty sick to my stomach.
It's kind of hard. This is my first Carolina Duke game, and I'm really not. I wasn't prepared to have to deal with what happened. It was so close for so long.
I'm a senior, so this is like, you know, I've experienced losing to them before, but it's okay. We'll come back and get them in March. I'm not that worried.
but most fans tell me despite the loss, they had a good time watching the Carolina basketball game with their friends. We were there earlier while they watched the matchup. The bars in Chapel Hill were packed full of Tar Heels Thursday.
We're like at the heartbeat of Chapel Hill right here, especially being on the second floor. We get to see all of Franklin Street. It's really amazing. Win or lose, it's the best place to be during the Duke-Carolina game.
It's a rivalry that goes back nearly a century.
Being a part of the rivalry is crazy, especially since we both wear the color blue and we're 8 miles apart.
Twice a year, Carolina and Duke face off.
I'm gonna run down all the way to the streets. Like every year of somebody, like, because, you know, every year or every time somebody, UNC plays against Duke, everybody goes to the streets and it's like crowded.
And Thursday is the first time this season.
The date's definitely circled on my calendar every year for these two matchups.
Go Tar Heels! Woo!
But fans say no matter the outcome, it's always good to be a Tar Heel.
Being a part of UNC is just something that you never really get over, and I think just especially experiencing the Duke-Carolina rivalry with all your best friends is just awesome.
But Carolina fans say they're confident they'll get a W in March when they face off with Duke again right here in Chapel Hill. Reporting live from Franklin Street, Kelly Kennedy, CBS North Carolina.
Strong emotions make for a great rivalry.
That's true. It was a great game.
A very cold night for all those celebrations, though.
Yeah, and it's going to get even colder before another weekend warm-up. Here's Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Wes Hohenstein with a first look at your forecast. Wes.
Hi, guys. Good evening to you and to you at home. The cold front worked. If you didn't feel it today or tonight, you will tomorrow morning. The coldest morning in a month is where we're headed, and outside right now, 20s and 30s. And, you know, it's early February, and nothing too strange about that. What was strange is the 60s we had last night at 11 o'clock. So our 24-hour temperature change map, numbers don't get this high this often. It's 30 degrees colder right now in Raleigh than it was last night at 11. Similar readings all over central North Carolina, so you can imagine how much colder it's going to be tomorrow. One of the big weather stories today was the wind. We had gusts almost as high as 50 miles per hour. The winds have calmed down quite a bit, but still just this light wind could provide a wind chill tomorrow morning. So we'll have dry weather, sunny skies, and I'm going to show you temperature and wind chill instead of rain chances. And you can see if the temperature is not cold enough for you through 6 and 7 a.m. at 24, how about a wind chill of 21 by 9 a.m. 31 will feel like 27. And then after tomorrow morning, we head for the 70s. I'll tell you when they'll be back. Coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Wes. See you in court. That's how President Trump responded to a federal appeals court's decision not to reinstate the travel ban.
Tonight, Democrats are firing back. CBS Weijia Jiang has the latest from the White House.
The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals has decided not to overturn a lower court's ruling that put on hold President Trump's travel ban for people from 7 mostly Muslim countries. The unanimous ruling means refugees and citizens from those countries may continue to travel to the United States.
The constitutional provisions at stake are fundamental to who we are as a people.
Washington's Attorney General praised the decision. His state and Minnesota argued the executive order was unconstitutional because it barred entry to the United States based on religion. Seattle-based District Judge James Robart issued a temporary restraining order last week suspending the ban. The government filed to restore it, but the appellate court said the government did not provide evidence that anyone from the countries on the list had committed a terror attack on U.S. soil.
The court has made it clear the president is not above the law.
Now the Justice Department is reviewing the decision and its options. On Twitter, President Trump vowed to continue the legal battle, saying, "See you in court. The security of our nation is at stake." Mr. Trump told reporters the court's ruling was political, and he's certain he will prevail when another court reviews the legality of his executive order.
It's a decision that will win, in my opinion, very easily.
The case is expected to go all the way to the Supreme Court, but the president's executive order on immigration was set to expire in 90 days, so it could run its course before that happens. Weijia Jiang, CBS News, the White House.
The Democratic National Committee responded to the ruling, saying in a statement that the court upheld, quote, We do not discriminate based on religion. That's what terrorists do, and that's what terrorists want us to do.
Democratic lawmakers filed more legislation to repeal House Bill 2 today. Two separate bills create a statewide non-discrimination law that would ban discrimination in housing, employment, and bathrooms. Lawmakers found out earlier this week the state is at danger of losing all NCAA championship events through 2022 if HB 2 is not repealed.
North Carolina is the last in this country on equality because we have this regressive, dangerous, and completely unnecessary law in effect.
I know other people have put bills in. I'm sure they'll be looked at. They'll go through the process. But this is going to take leadership from the governor.
The other HB 2 repeal bill filed today is very similar. The only difference is that it includes increased penalties for certain sexual crimes. Well, Goldsboro's police chief apologizing to the community.
Next at 11, the controversial Facebook post and why he says it was a misunderstanding.
And those impacted by Orange County's water emergency asking for help from town leaders. Let's take another live look from the quad on Duke's West Campus. Students wrapping up their celebration over the win against UNC. The fire department here, as you can see, they're actually putting out a fire that was happening on a bench. The Tobacco Road Thriller definitely living up to the hype tonight.
And a very special night for Melanie Day. We introduced you to her earlier this week, coming to tonight's game thanks to Coach K. Our meteorologist Bill Ray, he caught up with her before she went inside. She's a breast cancer patient and says it was always a bucket list item to attend a Duke-UNC game. She's a Duke fan, by the way. Our Jeff Jones and Todd Gibson will have more reaction from tonight's game coming up in sports.
She is extra happy tonight.
Yep.
Fabulous. Well, for most people, life has gotten back to normal since last week's water emergency in Chapel Hill and Carborough. But for some, it'll be a long time before they fully recover.
That's right. People whose apartments and belongings were damaged in Friday's water main break say the Orange County Water and Sewer Authority has a responsibility to help them. But as CBS North Carolina's Michael Highland reports, it's not that simple.
The water emergency in Orange County last week was frustrating to a lot of people, but for Hannah Herzog, it was more than that.
No, I can't afford this.
She shared these photos of the damage to her apartment near Foxcroft Drive in Chapel Hill. She and her partner can't live there anymore. They're grad students trying to pay for a hotel and to move, and their renter's insurance won't cover any of it.
I've suffered a lot. My studies have suffered a lot. My partner's suffered a lot.
They went before the Orange Water and Sewer Authority Thursday night. But an attorney for the agency said insurance will only cover this if it's proven an OWASA employee was negligent in causing what happened last week. Board members talked about trying to work with local groups to help people like Hannah.
This was a terrible inconvenience for many of us, and it was a hardship for others.
The organization has outside agencies investigating the two incidents that led to the emergency. The first was when too much fluoride was being added to the water. The head of OWASA says the affected water never left the treatment plant. The second part was the water main break that happened just as the system was running low because of the fluoride issue. Preliminary reports are due to OWASA at noon Friday and will be made public. They may give a clearer indication if any employees contributed to what happened.
We want to reestablish your trust and confidence in our leadership, in our employees, in our infrastructure, in our business practices.
It's just been really hard. I'm behind at school. It's really bad.
In Chapel Hill, Michael Highland, CBS North Carolina.
For now, OWASA is not adding any fluoride to the water, and the board chairman adds it's not clear when or even if that it will start up again.
The driver of a tractor trailer that went over the side of a bridge this afternoon in Virginia Beach has died. 47-year-old Joseph Chen is from Greenville. He was delivering a load of seafood for a company based out of Washington, North Carolina.
Tonight, Goldsboro's police chief is apologizing for a Facebook post that sparked backlash from the community NAACP. Last month, he made a Facebook post that digitally altered his face to look like Donald Trump and captioned, quote, "Making Goldsboro PD great again." In a statement today, he said it was not meant to offend anyone, and as a public leader, he is held to a higher standard.
65-mile-per-hour winds, temperatures in the teens, and more than a foot of snow. Boston, just one of the many cities in the Northeast dealing with the blizzard conditions tonight. The storm marched through Baltimore, Philly, New York corridor earlier this day, making for some dangerous travel. A lot of flights were canceled too today, that's for sure, because of the weather. And we had some of the kids outside. We saw Duke Cameron Crazies all painting their body. Maybe the older I get, I just, you know.
The less I like cold, the older I get. That is a fact. I think it's a medical fact, actually. We'll look into that.
Really? Okay.
But so when you walk outside tomorrow morning, you feel how cold it is. I want you to think of our friends up to the northeast, and they're dealing with the cold with snow. So it could always be worse. This morning, Sharon, it was 54 degrees. That was okay. Sure, we had a little rain. From there, we kind of cooled off, and look where we're going tomorrow morning, 24 degrees. But that's not going to last long, because by Sunday morning, we're going to be back up to 50. So like it has been all winter long, winter is coming back briefly, and then we're going to warm right back up. Remember, yesterday it was 74 degrees. We're down to 33 right now. We're going to wind up at 24. That's a 50-degree turnaround, and you see all this cold up to the north, so a little bit of that is still spilling in, and that's why tomorrow morning we're going to end up at that 24. Winds will be much, much lighter than what we had today, but still a little bit of 5-6 mile-an-hour breeze will give us a wind chill of 21 at 6 a.m. as you leave for work and school. By 9 a.m., 31 is going to feel like 27. Then we'll get rid of the wind chills. We warm up to 41 at noon, on our way to a high of 50. Now remember, 50 is the kind of the apex of the day. We spend most of the day in the 40s. That's pretty chilly, especially compared to what we've had so far this winter. So make sure you're bundled up both in the morning. You know, probably need a jacket throughout the day. So that cold front worked, right? High pressure in behind it is kind of dragging that cold air in from Canada. And when that high gets right on top of us, that's when we'll be at our coldest. That's happening tomorrow morning. As we go throughout the day tomorrow, that high is going to shift around a little and eventually bring our winds back out of the south. That's when we start to warm up. Remember, it's been the case all winter long, and really every winter. The winds control our temperature. So with winds out of the south, we're going to get a heck of a lot warmer on Saturday. We'll be in the 60s, and we'll crank it up into the 70s. Again, close to record highs on Sunday. But even that's not going to last forever, because there's going to be another cold front. It'll most likely come through dry. It'll be here late Sunday or early Monday, and that'll back our temperatures up, bringing us a little closer to normal as we head into Valentine's week next week. Let's get through the weekend first. Not tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday. Saturday, I'm getting ahead of myself. Starts off chilly, 38 degrees. By lunchtime, we'll be around 60, on our way to a high of 67. Even warmer on Sunday. Again, those stronger southerly winds will keep it dry, generally mostly sunny. We'll be around 70 by lunchtime, with highs topping out in the mid-70s. 75 is our record, by the way, so we're going to be pretty darn close to that. Not tomorrow, though. Tomorrow, after a cold start in the 20s, we'll struggle to get up to 50 here in Raleigh, 49 up in Durham, and 51 for a high in Fayetteville. Remember, normal high this time of year is 54, so we're below that tomorrow, way above that for our warm weekend. There's our dry cold front, drops us back to 64 on Monday when we head back to work and school. And then 50s return Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Tuesday, of course, Valentine's Day, or as I like to call it, the first day pitchers and catchers report to spring training. Don't know if the ladies out there like to call it that, but either way, Tuesday will be a little cooler, and then a little bit of rain possible on Wednesday, with 50s hanging around Wednesday and Thursday as well. So no snow in our forecast. And I tell you what, guys, we're now getting to the halfway point of February. And once we get into March, you know, snow kind of doesn't happen around here. So we've only got a couple weeks left, and it's not looking good.
Well, we've been spared then, thus far.
Yeah, I think a lot of us are okay with it, unless you're 10.
I know a lot of students who,
exactly. They're hoping to get some before it's over.
And speaking of students, our Jeff Jones is here now with more on what we saw tonight with the Battle of the Blues. Jeff?
That's right, guys. It's the game that all of America was tuned into, and we still have several crews there on location. Coming up, we'll go live to the site of tonight's amazing game. This was another Tobacco Road showdown for the ages. We have extended highlights and reaction straight ahead. Well, basketball fans, all I can say is tonight was the night. It was the game that everyone had circled on their calendars before the season started. Of course, I'm talking about the Tobacco Road Showdown. Duke hosted UNC this evening, and the Tar Heels were forced to go without big man Isaiah Hicks. He's sidelined with a strained hamstring, but Carolina fans weren't nervous. In fact, they looked pretty confident. UNC grad and North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper having fun with the Cameron Crazies before the game. On the court, the guy having the most fun might have been Duke guard Grayson Allen. That was his first 3 of the night, but it wouldn't be his last. While Duke was raining threes, the Tar Heels were owning the paint. Big Kennedy Meeks with a dunk. Remember I said the Tar Heels own the paint? Yeah, Meeks with the block. That leads to a fast break for the Heels and 2 easy points for Justin Jackson. But the first half ended kind of how it began. Allen maybe got a little push off there. There's no maybe about that. Swish. The fans love it, and the Blue Devils enter the half with a 1-point lead. There were 13 lead changes in the first half, and the second half was just as dramatic. First off, Grayson Allen stayed hot. He finished with 25 on the night, but one nice 3 deserves another. Joel Berry drains one from the corner. That gets the Tar Heels bench excited. And speaking of the Tar Heels bench, Theo Pinson didn't start the game, but he looked like a starter on that play. He gets the driving layup and the foul. That gave Carolina a 2-point lead, so how Duke respond? With the dagger. Jason Tatum's 3 put the Blue Devils up late, and they don't look back after they got that lead. Duke goes on to win 86-78.
Grayson had an amazing game, you know, and the last few ball games he's played so darn well, but everybody played well. I'm so grateful we won because we beat a really good team and we played very well, and you know, so God bless us. You know, that was a heck of a win.
A heck of a win indeed, and as we saw earlier in the show, they are already celebrating down in Durham. But what about the guys in the other locker room? We also caught up with the Tar Heels after tonight's heartbreaking loss, and believe it or not, the topic of discussion was free throws and how North Carolina could not hit them down the stretch.
We shoot them great in practice, so I hope it's just one of those nights. You know, I didn't like it, 8 for 15 the second half. 8 usually gets you beat in a close game, and one of those was a 1-and-1. So the way I look at it is really 8 for 16. But you can pick out anything. We didn't make free throws. We didn't run our offense effectively. About 3 straight possessions. We're out there late clock from 30 feet trying to do something.
Earlier, we saw Governor Cooper, who is a Tar Heels grad. So what was his reaction after Carolina's loss? Just 2 words. Free throws. Carolina shot about 55% from the line, which is obviously not up to the governor's standards. While we're on the topic of the Tobacco Road Showdown, why don't we just go back to the site of tonight's great game? Our Todd Gibson is live at Cameron Indoor Stadium and joins us with more from Durham. Gibby, how's it going out there?
It's going great, Jeff. I got to give you a hard time a little bit here. I know you stayed for a little bit of the game and had to get back and put your show together, but you missed one heck of a second half. 17 lead changes in this one. Jason Tatum scoring all 19 of his points in the second half. Grayson Allen, fantastic. Luke Kennard, fantastic as well. After the game, I was in the Duke locker room, got up with Grayson Allen, asked him, you know, it never gets old beating those guys, does it? And here's what Grayson had to say.
No, I mean, just the magnitude of the rivalry and the history of it, the history of the game, and then, I mean, they're always going to be good too, and so it's always going to be a big matchup for us. And then, like I've been saying, I mean, playing in Cameron, there's really nothing like it.
I really didn't know what to expect. I just knew it was going to be great, but you know, the crowd was tremendous tonight. You know, the other team, North Carolina's a great team, and you know, we're a great team too. And it was just a great game. You know, the whole 40 minutes. You know, nobody was giving in, and you know, it just took a lot of hard work and us being together.
You know, it's not something that we're just going to all of a sudden, you know, go away from each other or you know, mess up the chemistry and the love that we have for each other. It's one loss, and we got to move on from it.
Make it 4 straight wins for Duke. Jeff, we'll send it back to you. Guess what? In a couple weeks, we'll get to do this all over again. Maybe for that game, you can stay for the entire games. We send it back to you. Todd Gibson live at Cameron Indoor Stadium, CBS North Carolina.
Thanks, Gibby, and we can go ahead and take the maybe out of there. I'm staying, and I'm going to send you back here to put the show together. Well, next up for these 2 teams are 2 more conference showdowns. Duke will host Clemson on Saturday, and UNC will travel right down the road to Raleigh to face NC State on Wednesday. Now, in other Tar Heels news, the football team announced they will have a new defensive coordinator this season. Gene Chizik has spent the past 2 seasons with the team and has made huge strides in improving that defense, but he says he needs to step down so he can spend more time with his family. He called the past 2 seasons in Chapel Hill a blessing and said that this decision was extremely difficult, but he's looking forward to, quote, the simple joys of being a father and a husband. The team's current linebackers coach will take over as their defensive coordinator. So we see Gene Chizik stepping down in Chapel Hill. We saw over in Charlotte the Panthers receivers coach step down for family reasons as well. Interesting trend we're seeing here. We're going to have to watch in the college ranks and in the NFL to see if more coaches follow suit and put their family lives kind of above their careers.
Well, it's important.
Good for them.
Yeah, definitely.
That is a big
Definitely.
step. All right.
We'll be right back.